A man and a woman from a village far away desired wealth over all else. They had not a penny to their name, and all they dreamed of was money, jewels, and fame. Soon they found out that they were expecting a child, yet their emotions ran uncommonly mild. When the villagers were sending their best wishes to the couple, they were surprised to see frowns on their faces. The enchantress had heard of the couple's desire of wealth for a while, and soon came up with a plan so vile. One night she arrived at the doorstep dressed head to toe in jewels, and decided now was the time to trick the fools. The man and wife opened the door, with their eyes meeting nothing but the gold. Only soon did they realize that the enchantress had come. "Man and wife, I heard you are in search of great riches," said the enchantress with a cunning smile. The man and wife were dumbfounded, and thought at last their dreams would come true. However, the enchantress had selfish intentions too. "A great portion of my wealth can become yours, if for eternity you trade me the child you will bore." The man and wife had nothing to ponder, as thoughts of wealth and fame began to wander.
Of course,
Said the parents together. And when the day of the birth arrived, the baby possessed a voice so magical, all who heard it were left in awe. The parents, although parting with the child, knew they would never forget the voice so enchanting. The enchantress suddenly appeared and snatched the baby at first glance. Not a single farewell was given to the newborn child, because the sight of the riches made their emotions run wild. She looked at the child, and with a devilish smile she whispered to him, "Bropunzel, Bropunzel, you'll be with me forever and a while." The boy grew up hoping for strength and great power. However, at the age of 13 he was locked in a tall tower. The tower, with no doors or stairs, stood high amongst the neighboring forest trees, and the only connection the boy had with the world was the incoming breeze. Whenever the enchantress wanted to go in, she would stand underneath the single window, which was at the top of the tower, and cried, "Bropunzel, Bropunzel, let down your hair to me." Bropunzel's brown hair was smooth and thick, and it was clear that much care was given to it. Whenever he heard the command of the enchantress, he would throw down his brown locks. Up she climbed to visit the boy, and seeing him imprisoned gave her joy. The boy's life in the tower was unhappy and dull. Day after day he could only do one thing. All he could do to pass the time was sing. Now let's return to the story of the couple. Yes, the riches brought joy to their faces for a small amount of time, but the couple soon became aware of their awful crime.
What a grave mistake we have made.
let us go find our pride and joy, our son.
Yes, let us not mourn in her sorrows, but rather correct what we have wronged.
Money cannot buy happiness, they learned, but the love of their child is for all they yearned. The sweet sound of his voice remained on their mind, and time they wished they could rewind. Their journey began, and out they set. For 13 years, the couple did not stop searching for their son. They went from village to village, hoping to hear news, but they were unable to find any clues. The voice of their child would be the ultimate indication, because even 13 years later, they did not forget the sweet melody. Until one day, as they wandered about, they learned about their child's awful fate. Through the chirp of the birds and the buzz of the bees, they learned that their son was trapped among the tops of the trees. Wandering and wandering, soon they came across a faint echo of a voice so magical. It made the hair on the back of their neck stand on end. Immediately, they knew that it was the sound of their son. Finally, the time would come. They followed the voice, so it would not be long till they find him. Through a forest they walked, day and night, until one day they saw a curious sight. It was the enchantress at the side of a tower so tall, beside which she looked so very small. "Bropunzel, Bropunzel, let down your hair to me." A lock of brown hair fell down 22 tree trunks along the side of the tower to where the enchantress was waiting, and once again she climbed up. Once the enchantress had descended the hair, the parents knew it was their turn to climb with great care.
Bropunzel, Bropunzel, let down your hair to me.
Surely enough, the locks came down. They started to ascend with the excitement that they will see their child again. But the enchantress did not go far. One look back, and to her horror, she saw with contempt the parents' most hasty and determined attempt. She slyly climbed beneath them until she could peek through the window. The boy was frightened to his despair that a face other than the enchantress was there. The parents looked at him with promising eyes and said,
Son, we are here to take you away, and in this tower you will no longer stay.
No, the enchantress told me you gave me up to be rich. You really are worse than that evil witch.
shouted Bropunzel.
No, my son. We've realized a terrible mistake. We've searched for you for 13 years, night and day.
In his heart, he knew his parents had much regret, for their eyes with genuine tears became very wet. He was wary at first, but now he knew that he had to leave with the two.
I will leave this tower with you with no door nor stairs. I cannot easily climb down with my own beard of hair. Each and every day bring me rope, and I will weave a ladder long enough to reach the floor beneath.
The boy and his parents went on with their plan, but the enchantress had heard enough. She was angered by the words that were said by the wife and the man. She left with much malice and thought carefully about her next step. Once the parents had finally left, the enchantress returned to the room of the boy. Ah, you wicked child, what did I hear you say? I thought I had separated you from all the world, and yet you have deceived me today. In her anger, she clutched the roots of Rapunzel's beard, wrapped the strands twice around her left hand, seized a pair of scissors with the right, and snip, snap, they were cut off, and the braids lay on the ground. And she was so pitiless that she took poor Bropunzel into a desert, where he had to live in great grief and misery. On the same day Bropunzel was banished, the parents arrived with their promised rope.
Bropunzel, Bropunzel, let down your hair to me.
The enchantress then fastened the strands of the hair, which she had cut off, to the hook of the window upon which the couple climbed. Once the couple had finished their climb, they were dismayed to find no Bropunzel, but only the enchantress. How dare you go back on your word? What's done is done, and can't be reversed. You gave me your child in return for riches. It is not my fault that those were your wishes. Yet you are here now with the child as your desire. But instead, I will leave you blind, and with your riches burned in fire. After a wave of her hand and the stomp of her foot, the ground suddenly and violently shook. The parents lost balance and fell into the pile of thorns below, which pricked their eyes. Still, the parents did not lose hope. For years, although blind, they kept on their search. At last one day, they again heard the charming voice, and they could not but help to rejoice. The sweet melody at long last brought the family together. The son knew something was not right. His parents had been robbed of not only their wealth, but also their sight. Immediately, tears began to flow. The family came together for an embrace, and the tears of the boy fell into place. Into the eyes of the parents they had poured, and all of a sudden their sight was restored. Happily ever after, the family began life anew. All was forgiven, and the boy knew that he was living the life he was destined to live.